Alright, it is about time. After a weekend of clears for the Warlord's Ruin new dungeon, this thing is beautiful and is very, very fun in my personal opinion. We're going to be going over every encounter for y'all with the 2 secret chests as well. So we are going to get into it because this is definitely going to be a little bit longer video explaining every little detail of each encounter. So starting off, you do have to go pick up the initial quest from Ikora right at the tower, just like most of our new quests for dungeons, raids, etc. So make sure to go to her and grab it. It is called In the Shadow of the Mountain. So the first step of that quest is obviously to complete the Warlord's Ruin on the EDZ. Within this, we have 3 different boss encounters, as well as a couple different jumping puzzles. So, when we first initially load into the Warlord's Ruin, we are going to be in a jumping puzzle up here on Felwinters Peak in the snowy mountains. Now, there will be a couple little traps, if you will, along the way, involving mimic chests, as well as some of the landing spots that you stand on will fall away and you will fall down the mountain and then die. So, we will be careful of those on the way, but in the background gameplay, you saw the path I was taking. Instead of continuing on through the mountain, you actually have to jump up and head around. Now there will be one of those sneaky chests right at the beginning to the left. You can tell it's one of the bad chests because there will be a blue glow around it, which when you grab it, a bunch of screebs will spawn and they will wipe you out very quickly. But for this first little jumping puzzle, very easy. Keep working your way around the right hand side of the mountain until you get to this nice bridge here where you'll have to wipe out some enemies, and you may see a yellow bar screeb, which he will drop some tincture, which is for part of the quest later on, and finding some Ahamkara bones. I'll make a little video on all of that as well. Just know that there are some secrets in here for progressing this quest for an exotic, just a normal piece of armor, as well as it gives you a better chance at the dungeon exotic on top of that. Once you clear through these adds across the bridge, we make our way into this giant castle right here, where we make a lot of the traversing steps as well as deal with our 3 bosses. Make your way through this path here on the left hand side, and we open up into this gigantic courtyard where we face our first boss, which is a chieftain. It is Rathil, first broken knight of Fikrul. Now this is the mysterious challenger encounter. So within this first boss encounter, there are a couple different things that you have to watch out to. The chieftain will spawn a bunch of the Scorn around you, so you will have to watch out for them, but there isn't too many of them. All of a sudden, the boss will drop one of these stasis turrets, or I should call them taken turrets for this. It is like those elemental ones. The solar ones would burn you, the arc ones can protect, or the void ones would the enemies. So all you gotta do for this is stand inside of the circle around that turret, and then it'll activate and turn blue. Before this happens though, when he throws it down, he will actually teleport all the guardians in the encounter up into these cages that will continuously rise. If you let the cage get all the way to the top, a trap will go off and you will instantly die, so you gotta make sure you can get out. Now to get out of these cages, there will be 3 of those taken eyes around your cage that you have to shoot and defeat. Once you shoot and break all of those 3 eyes and defeat them, the gate will open and you do have to run out because the cage will still rise, so you have to be slightly careful. You have to get out of the cage, where if you do it faster, you will have more time down low to activate those turrets, which the more turrets that you activate, the longer the DPS phase is. So you will see on the left hand side of your screen when the cages are being risen and you get teleported, you have a buff on you called Imminent Wish. This is the amount of time time that you have to stand inside of those Taken turrets to turn them blue, which again is how we take off the boss's shield and do damage. Once that Imminent Wish buff is gone, those turrets will go away and you get the buff Nahim's Wish, which means that we can do our damage against the boss, which there it is just kind of go to town. Banner of War swords are very, very good for this because he is up close and personal. He does stomp a little bit, but not too bad, especially if you have a well in your fire team. Very easy. You can use the Legend of Acreus shotgun as well. Very easy one phase on this boss with 3 guardians. Even I've seen it done solo so far on Banner Titan. So after his shield comes back up and he becomes immune again, it's just a rinse and repeat of the same exact thing. He will throw out those turrets, teleport you into your cages where you have to get out via the eyes. Then you go stand in those turrets. You can see the white circle around them. Once they turn blue, it is done and you can move on to the next one. And then once that Imminent Wish buff is gone, you can do your damage phase again and wipe him out. Very easy. And then afterwards, you actually don't get your loot right away, but we end up in our next encounter, which is a little puzzle called Imprisonment. Now for this, it is pretty easy to get out and get your loot. There will be 6 different dials around the jail that you have to shoot and have them spin either clockwise or counterclockwise to determine the number of pulleys or dials that are turning a certain way. When you first load in, if you are solo, right here next to this skeleton is a white number, and the white number is the number of dials that goes to the right or clockwise. And then over here in this jail cell by a skeleton on the ground, there is an orange or a red number on the ground. That will be the number of dials that have to turn going to the left or counterclockwise. If you are in here as a group of 3, usually it is each guardian can shoot 2 dials, so you got to communicate on who is shooting to make them clockwise versus counterclockwise. Once you have all 6 of those dials going the right way based on the numbers on those floors, that white and orange scratches or tallies, you come over to this jail cell where you will see this little podium of a flashing blue light. Shoot it right in the middle, it'll flick a switch, and then your doors will open up. You can collect your loot, and then we are on to a nice super long path for traverse between this encounter and the second encounter. This jumping puzzle is called Venturing Deeper. It involves a death maze as well as a jumping puzzle around the side of the castle. The death maze is pretty challenging to go through on your first time. There is a lot of traps that happen inside of here. You can fall in some holes that have spikes in them, as well as there will be enemies that spawn with spikes that come out of these vents right here, so you gotta be careful. They are tucked away pretty hard sometimes in some hidden darkness areas, so you'll have to jump over them, crawl under them, or stay to the left or right of them just to make it through this maze. The path that you have to take to move on to the outside follows as it has been playing in the background. It doesn't take too long to get through the maze. Just be careful because, like I said, there will be enemies that are spawning and all of those traps, so just take it slow and easy if you're going through solo, and make sure that your teammates are staying away from you just in case if you are going through as a group. Once you make it far enough to this little outside piece right here, you will see this open area with the snow coming through. All we have to do is climb up, make our way a little bit further, and we will reach our second boss, which is called the Wailing Tempest encounter. This is an ogre boss, the Locus of Wailing Grief. So right here for the second boss encounter, we have this big old ogre right here, as well as a couple of the encounter bosses mechanics that we had before with those little Taken turrets. So when this encounter starts, a bunch of Taken will spawn, as well as some Scorn. This encounter involves shooting all of those eyes that spawn to actually basically begin the encounter, if you will, because once all of the eyes are shot around the big old ogre, that will spawn the 2 chieftains, one on the left, one on the right hand side up on the balcony here. Once you defeat them, they are what drops those little turrets. Now, when you stand inside of these turrets again, they will become blue and activate. The flip side of this, you have to be careful because once this starts, there will be the debuff called Biting Cold. If this reaches 10, you will freeze immediately and then just die. This includes everybody on your fire team that reached 10. So be careful of that. To get rid of this Biting Cold, there will be a bunch of torches around the backside of the map here on that balcony, kind of where the chieftains spawn, and you can go stand next to those where you will get sheltered from the storm, as well as it'll take away that Biting Cold debuff, so you can go back out there to wipe out some enemies or just stand inside of those turrets, which standing inside of the turrets for this one will spawn us some fire orbs, which we have to spawn for total. So this means you can take as long as you need to with spawning those orbs to actually start the damaging phase. Now, to start the damage phase, like I said, after you get all 4 of those fire orbs, you will see there are 4 pillars in the center around the ogre. This is where you will slam each of those 4 fire orbs. This is so you can do damage around those pillars because there will be a Biting Cold effect during damage phase, as well as the boss is immune if you are not inside one of those circles. So it'll start the damage phase when you slam that 4th and final fireball at one of those pillars. Then you have to decide as a team which way you are rotating, so it can be clockwise, counterclockwise, totally up to you. Just make sure you are on the same page, because it's got a similar mechanic to Planet's encounter inside of Ron or even Caretaker. You have to be on the plate or inside of that zone around the pillar of fire to actually do damage on the boss, and once you step into one, it'll kind of activate it for a certain amount of time, and if you step in it too soon, it will go away faster and you won't be able to do just as much damage, so be careful of that. But that is how we do damage on this boss. Once you get to your 4th pillar, it will end, his shield will come back up, and then you just rinse and repeat. There will be a bunch of the Taken and Scorn around. You have to shoot down all of those eyes to get your chieftains to spawn, wipe out the chieftains to get the turrets to spawn where you stand inside of them. They will spawn our fireballs. Make sure to watch out for Biting Cold by going and standing around those nice flames in the back of the map. Once you get all 4 of those flames again, slam them in the respected towers, if you will, in by the boss, and start your damage phase again until you wipe them out. Rockets are good here. Linear fusions if you would like something like a Wither Horde on top of it, not too shabby at all. Hammers, just go to town wherever you can damage wise, but you do have to be inside of that circle where the fire is at the pillars. So, after we wipe out the ogre, we move on to our next jumping puzzle, a nice little traversable, where we get 2 of our next secret chests as well. Now, the second one can be in different places from what I have noticed, because I've gotten it in 2 different spots. So, I'll kind of show you the 2 spots I got them in the gameplay. One will be Screebs, one will be the actual chest, but it'll show where the 2 locations that I got mine from. Now, in this jumping puzzle, again, we're just working our way around the castle. You can follow the path that I have been taking in the background gameplay. Once we come up to this room right here, there will be a bunch of chests in this area, which is a trap, but there is one of our secret chests in this location. You will be able to tell which one is the good chest, because all of the bad chests, if you stand back far enough, almost have a white light coming off of it, like coming from the ceiling down onto it. That is not the right chest. So those are all the bad ones, plus the bad ones have that blue like ethereal glow, kind of like a Screeb has on its back. Those will be because the Screebs are in there, so be careful of that, but just pick the right one and you will get some nice extra loot. Once we continue on our jumping path, we will have to deal with some enemies on our way and just keep on climbing up the side of the mountain until we get to this little section here where we have to go past past the actual exit to get to where a secret chest can be. Keep following this. At the end of the mountain path up on top, there is a chest. You can grab it. It might be your secret one. It might not. Just be careful. This one has Greaves in it for me on this run, but I have had secret ones on here as well. Now, when you go back to the area, we reach this nice Taken realm, if you will, little room that has a nice spinning ball in the middle. We just have to traverse around it to make it to the next area where we just wipe ads on the way, and we get to this nice big jumping area where there are a bunch of different doors. Some lead you to abominations, other leads you to a secret chest, which is this bottom one right here. You can jump down into it. There was a secret chest for me that actually counted towards the loot. Wasn't one of the Screep ones, so there is that. And this is the area where we make it to our final boss encounter. As well, as you keep progressing, you just kind of go on and on, keep on climbing until we reach the very, very top of the castle and the peak of the mountain, where we have to deal with our last and final boss, which does have a couple mechanics as well. So, within this final encounter, the Ghost of Riven will be going around dealing damage on us as we wipe out ads. To start, we shoot that Taken ball in the beginning, in the middle there, and there will be some ads that spawn. Now, on this boss, every single time the boss moves, it's the same mechanics on each floor, just with different areas to shoot the boss as well as those chieftains to spawn. So, same mechanic like I said. When the boss is happening, there will be Taken as well as Scorn getting spawned around you with Taken blights that can deal damage, so wipe those out as soon as you can. Now, around the boss, there will be those Taken eyes. Once you shoot the Taken eyes, this will spawn again two chieftains, one on the left, one on the right hand side of where you are doing damage. Once again, these chieftains will drop those Taken turrets, which we stand in to keep the shield off of the boss and extend our damage duration for that area. Now, the caveat of this, again, we have to watch out for the Taken as well as those Taken blights, so there's a lot of damage coming at you while you are standing inside of those Taken turrets. You will as well have a debuff on you that is a curse that will kill you after about 14 seconds. To get rid of this, there will be Scorn that spawn around that kind of have a white glow around them, so you have to transfer that virus that you have, the Taken virus, to them by punching them, which they can also give it back to you by punching you. So when you see that virus debuff come up, find one of those Scorn that are glowing white, punch them, they will turn that kind of Taken darkness, and you will see your virus is gone and it is on them. Just avoid them for the Imminent Wish timer, which is what you have to stand inside of those Taken turrets to activate them. Once that Imminent Wish is up, the boss will start to become unimmune and you can do your damage at that certain area. Again, linear fusion, rockets, golden gun, absolutely nasty for this season, so it is a pretty easy boss to do some damage on. Easy two-phase, totally for basically any fire team. You can definitely get it in one phase with a good fire team that's working together to get ammo as well, but each of the times that the boss becomes immune again, you will just have to move spots to a new location and continue the same pattern as before. Wipe out the eyes around the boss up there. Once the eyes are gone, it'll spawn the chieftains. The chieftains take them down. They will spawn those stasis turrets, or Taken turrets I should say, where you have to stand in them to take off the shield of the boss. You will have that virus on you after you take down those chieftains, which you get rid of by meleeing those Scorn that are glowing in that white color. And then once that Imminent Wish is up, you will just do damage on the boss, rinse and repeat until you get to this floor right here, which has 3 pedestals in a circle. This is just basically do as much damage as you can. can until the timer is up, and you will have to jump from platform to platform, but it is pretty easy just trying to stay alive. You can extend the duration a little bit by shooting the eyes around the boss. They keep spawning. Once that certain area is done, it'll just be a taken blight on it. You will do damage, so you move to the next one, but you can just continuously damage the boss. Once that phase is done, it'll reset, take you back to the first platform, and then you will start again until the final damage phase, which when he's in final stand, you just do as much damage as you can, and boom, you beat the final boss and got your nice juicy raid loot. I know that this was definitely a long video to cover and a lot of different little interactions. Everything, I promise, will be time coded at the bottom, so you won't have to just scan through. You can skip to which areas you need to based on the encounter. Hopefully I explained them enough. There is a lot of little things going on for each encounter, but they are all very similar, with using those taken turrets to stand inside and activate them to take off our boss's shields, if you will. Then you can do damage on them, mostly in a sense, whether that be next to the pillars or just after you stand in it. That Iminish Wish lets you do damage on the boss. So pretty easy dungeon in my opinion. Very fun, very aesthetic. I love Felwinters Peak up here in the mountains, so definitely an S tier dungeon in my opinion, up there with Prophecy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you guys out. Once again, coming out with a video on all of the other secrets inside of here, like the bones, the tincture, and the blighted wishing glass. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be a little shorter video compared to this one for sure. So thank you guys again. What I Jedi on all of my socials. Make sure to join up on that Discord as well. I appreciate all y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.